As I've said repeatedly, every encounter that we have in life has the ability to enlighten us, or we have the option to just let it sit without becoming valuable to us. What I found out in this recent phase of my life is that I needed to go back. I needed to evaluate how my belief systems were formed, how I got to the place that I am, and why I was experiencing what I was. Stick with me. You'll enjoy the journey. Hi, this is Dr. Anita with another diamond moment. The diamonds of our lives are truly produced through time, heat, and pressure. And it is absolutely our responsibility to get the lesson from that situation in order to move our lives forward in a more positive direction. I've been sharing with you about a challenge that I've had in my retirement in moving and seeking to move to another country, and how I came to the obstruction, to the challenges that I faced, and what that felt like within when you're used to living in one place, doing things one way, and now you're challenged with an entirely different environment and set of circumstances. As I started thinking about this, I went back to where I was. I talk to you guys all the time about the fact that my spiritual understanding was based in Christianity. But since that time, I have grown, and my ideas, my ideals, the things that are important to me have truly changed. And as we see the political climate, we see the things that are taking place, unfortunate, horrific things that are taking place around the world that have emanated from the United States. I am appalled, I'm shocked, and I had to go back once again and look at my life to determine how in the world did I get here. And this is the revelation that I came about in my own life. I realized that, and I've spoken to you about this as well, that I lost a child. And in losing that child, I also lost my entire life. My marriage dissolved, my sense of security, what had been my life was no longer my life, and I was dealing with that at a very young age. And the fact that I'm now entering into a realm that I've never been in before, I have no idea what I'm to do. And to be very candid with you, it was pretty frightening. I realized that, as I said in the previous episode, this is not, my belief system did not derive from where my parents were, what they taught me. My brother and I were given the opportunity to explore, to seek, to find. And that was not only spiritually, but it was socially. It was to be able to find the friends that were appropriate for us. We were never denied interaction with any group of people. And so I never grew up afraid of what someone's skin color could do, or whether or not I was inferior because. And so understanding this, and also going back, and I think if some of you, if you've been on NoomVibe, then I talked about this there. But to understand that my parents had major losses. My parents actually lost 2 children in 1 year, one in January and the other in December of the same year. And one was due to pneumonia, and the other was due to an injury suffered in childbirth. So you can imagine what it's like. And then when people trying to be helpful come up with those words like God needed another flower in his garden, it doesn't add up when it's you, when your loved one is now, as they say, been plucked to be in God's garden. And I do understand why. My parents did not disavow their belief system, they just didn't push it. They allowed my brother and I to live our lives, to come to our own understanding. And in so doing, when I experienced the losses in my life, I hadn't thought about it in this way until I got to this place of changing and moving to a different country. When I ran across what I did, and I'll give more details in terms of my journey, driving and coming into this new area that I'm living in now, I ask myself, according to my prior belief system, you can do all things. You can overcome all things. Greater is he who's in you. And all of those scriptures that many people are familiar with. I also had to come to the place in spirituality where it's known that you create your reality, that what you're living is something you have created. And if it's something that you don't like, you've got to go back to the foundation of that creation and see where maybe your thoughts are askewed. Maybe you don't have it right. And that's where I was when I had the understanding of how I got here. And in trying and moving to clear the shadows and challenges of my own limiting beliefs, I realized that I had to modify my perception. I had to look at things differently in order to change the trajectory that this trip was having. If I'm the one that is producing my current existence, then I have to be the one to change it. But how did I get here? And that is the part that was so revelatory for me. Spirituality doesn't give you the answers. It encourages you to find the answers on your own. You're searching within yourself. You're looking to correct the ideas that maybe you've had that were limiting you. And I, at that phase of my life, suffering through grief, depression, anxiety, just questioning everything, I didn't have the wherewithal to search it out. What my friends, who were meaning me the best that they could possibly do, introduced me to was a way of life that you didn't have to think about it. Somebody told you what to do. And it dictated how you should think. It dictated who you were to be around. And it did it all using the threat of, if you don't do what we say, you're going to a burning hell and you will never be reunited with those that you love. From one perspective, it took me from a lesser grip where I could choose to a vice-like grip where I had no choice. And I went with the option of not utilizing my own self-reliance because I was afraid. I was afraid of everything. I was in grief from losing my baby and my marriage. I was trying to overcome the betrayal of my husband at that time, and I felt I just needed immediate help. Church people don't have a problem with getting in your business, and that is initially how I came to a belief system that would think for me, that I didn't have to think. My parents, as I said, did not require us to believe as they believed, but they did come from Christian backgrounds. My dad, his family was very involved. My mom, I believe, stepped back from her belief system shortly after the losses that she'd had. And coming from this place of two parents who were obviously broken and devastated during their own crisis in life, still attempted to follow their belief system. I remember us going to a church when we first arrived in California from Texas, and one of my dad's friends was over the music department in this church, and we went there. And I don't know what happened. I know that I could feel the change when we stopped going there. And my dad decided we were going to locate a different church for us as a family to worship in. At this time, it was still where Sunday was the most segregated day of the year. Black people didn't go to white churches, and for the most part, white people didn't go to black churches. We moved to a new neighborhood, and in that neighborhood, there was a church that was within walking distance. So I believe the idea was, once my brother and I were familiar with that church environment, that if we wanted to go to church, we could simply walk down the block and attend church and come back home, whether my parents wanted to attend or not. They chose this church not knowing what to expect, because we're moving from a segregated South into what we thought was a more diversified West Coast state, only to find out that the segregation was still there, that the prejudice and racism was still there. And I remember us going into this church, and I was a very small little girl, and I could feel the tension when we walked in. Needless to say, we didn't stay but a moment. My dad got up, we walked out. We did not go back to the previous church that we were going to. We turned around and we went home. And I think that realization of the losses and of the disappointment that no matter where you were, you could not move away from the racism and segregation in the church. Because remember, supposedly, the Ku Klux Klan was supposed to be a Christian organization. So my dad always was very political. He watched everything that was taking place in the news. And I remember him saying and making a comment about Billy Graham, who was a very well-known evangelist, that with all of his influence, he never once opened his mouth to speak out about the civil rights injustices that were taking place. And I also remember at Billy Graham's, and you can Google this, at the end of his life, he said that the one thing that he regretted was not speaking out during that civil rights period, only to see his son, Franklin Graham, move forward with the MAGA movement, bringing back that whole white supremacy concept that many people in the United States thought had moved on. When it came time for me to look at where I was and what I wanted in my own life, I was drawn more to the esoteric. I was drawn more to understanding outside of Christianity. But it wasn't until these devastating losses occurred and I realized I just need somebody to think it for me. And that is how I ended up where I was. I spent many, many years in the belief system of what I thought at the time was the Christian church. But what I understand now more fully is, it's not what would Jesus do. It was what did Jesus do. And I can tell you what he did not do. He didn't declare war and kill innocent people. He didn't put babies in cages. He didn't separate mothers from their children. And much of what we've learned and utilized as truth is not truth. It was control. And had I been more able to deal with my life and the situations that I was facing, I probably would have had an outcome where I would be much farther along than I am right now. And many of the mistakes in judgment that I've made in my own life is because I overrode that intuitive nudge and did it anyway. If my life is anything like your life, you can look back and see where maybe you could have made a different choice that would have brought you, as spirituality says, a different reality. You would have been in a different dimension, on a different timeline. You would have been moving in another direction. So if you're like me, maybe this is the time where you can take a step back, look at your life, and determine what you really want to do, how you really want to live in your life. This is a place where I want us to normalize our lived spiritual experience without any dogma, without fear, and without control. I really do honor your experiences and your understanding, and many of the traditions that sacred traditions in this world are all based off of the same understanding. So stick with me. If you haven't done so, please visit my website at www.DrAnitaMc.com. That's DrAnitaMc.com. Join me on NoomVibe and on FanBase. If you don't have your Diamond Journey Journal, this is a great time to get it. And keep coming back. We're going to go further. I'm going to continue to share with you my experiences on this amazing adventure that I'm having, and how I am looking at my own life critically in order to move forward into what I want and away from what I don't want. And the foundation of that is looking at your past, doing shadow work, being able to sit with mistakes that you've made, and being able to, without judgment, make a determination on where you want to live today.